higher education and the QS ranking, the most famous two ranking in our region. And then the second part of the presentation will be more practical on how Scopus and also Cyval can help you to make sure that your profile is correct, and this information can help you in the ranking. So the first part, we'll talk about what is the criteria methodology for different rankings, and second part would be about how Scopus and Cyval can help you with the ranking. So first of all, if you would like to put a definition for
وائل
university,
يا
yes.
دكتور ما فيش شاشة لو حضرتك مشارك باوربوينت مش واضحة عندنا تمام تمام
طيب اعمل ستوب شير واعمل شير تاني، حاضر. هل ظهرت دلوقتي؟
أيوة دكتور ظاهرة دلوقتي
تمام.
اتفضل.
Okay, so we'll give a definition to the university ranking. It's data-driven university rankings aggregate large amounts of information into consistent and comparable formats, making them an important resource for decision makers. So mainly it is a group of information which is aggregated by the ranking institutions to give a rank or give an order for the different universities. Rankings aim to highlight and compare an institution's relative strengths in key areas, and we will know why this is important, and I'm sure you already know about why it's important, as supportive information and guidance, not only for potential students, but also for researchers and faculty contemplating where to work. A university's reputation and its global visibility are important indicators for supporting academic and institutional goals. That's a definition for university rankings. But why are international ranking important? And I'm sure you know all of these or most of it. First of all, it's important for students and parents to select which university to select. They look at ranking very much, and we also do this. We all do this with our kids. The university management also would like to know where are they located in the international ranking. Policymakers and corporation companies would like to look at good partners, and this is important for the collaboration between academic and industry. This is very important. So, of course, the companies will look at the ranking as well to select which university to collaborate with. Governments also would like to measure the research excellence in the country, and this is, of course, usually done on the national level, as it is happening in Saudi Arabia right now by Ministry of Education. If we have a look on the growth of ranking organizations from 2003 till 2016, in this graph you can see there's a huge growth in number of organizations. So in 2003 there was only one institution doing ranking. In 2019 we had around 16 institutions or 16 organization doing ranking. So it is growing very much. How can we support Jazan University in the ranking? Number one is for Scopus, which empowers researchers at your institution to find relevant research on relevant topics and decide where to publish. We can also help you to ensure that institutional profile is complete and correct via the institutional profile wizard. And we will talk about that in the second part, the practical part of this presentation. Also, Cyval allows you to analyze the impact of your international collaboration and benchmark your performance against other relevant institutions. So number one, you can know your international collaboration. You can benchmark yourself with other competing institutions, and also, which is not maybe mentioned here, it is also the field-weighted citation impact, which is a very important indicator as well for both ranking, for Times Higher Education and QS ranking. This is a quick guide to 7 major ranking reports. We are not going to go through them, all of them, but I can share the PowerPoint with you later after the session if you're interested. So we have the Shanghai ranking, which consists of 1,800 institutions. Times Higher Education, the World University ranking, 1,500 institutions. And then we have the QS. There is also university ranking, and there is subject ranking, both of them for 1,000 institutions. Times Higher Education also has the impact ranking, which is depending on the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, the SDGs. And there's also the Leiden ranking and the US News ranking. Okay, we will focus today on 2 rankings, which is the QS University ranking and the Times Higher Education World University ranking. Both of them, they depend on the data from Scopus only. So for example, QS, they depend on 20% on the citations from Scopus. So all the data for the citation is coming from Scopus. And Times Higher Education depend on 30% of the citation data is from the methodology is coming from Scopus. So it's a big portion of the methodology depends on Scopus. So that's very important for the researchers and for the university to publish in Scopus journals. And of course, Scopus active journals, not the discontinued journals. So starting with the Times Higher Education ranking, one of them is the World University ranking. The focus is something, it's global, and the stated goal is to evaluate research-intensive universities across all their core teaching, research, knowledge, transfer, and international outlook. The scope, as we mentioned, 1,500 institutions, and data sources is academic reputation survey, Elsevier Scopus database, and it is annual, happening in September. So this is actually the methodology of the Times Higher Education World University ranking in details. So the first element is about teaching. 30% is teaching, and it is consists of 15% repetition survey, 4.5% staff to student ratio, and then 2.25 doctorate to bachelor ratio, 6% doctorates awarded to academic staff ratio, and 2.25 institutional income. So this is the first 30%, which is about teaching. And then the second element is research, 30% about research, so 18% from the repetition survey. And by the way, also Elsevier is helping in sending the surveys to a random selection of people. And then 6% research income and 6% research productivity. So it's important also to improve your industry collaboration. And there's actually 2.5% at the end, which is related to industry income. And then 30% for the citation, and this is coming directly from Scopus. And 7.5% international outlook, staff, student, and research. And the last one is industry income collaboration. So how do we help in this, or how do we influence in this ranking? The research citation, research data citation, which contributes to 30% of the rank. The research productivity also, which is 6% of the research indicators. And then international collaboration, which is based on publication data with at least one international co-author. This is 2.5% of the international outlook indicator. As I mentioned, also in addition to the repetition survey, the participant or the people who actually fill this survey, they are selected randomly from the authors in Scopus. Okay, so the 30% citation data, which is of course very important. What is the date range, for example? This is for the publication in 5 years period, let's say 2015 to 2019, and the citations in 6 years period from 2015 to 2020. So there's one additional year for the citations, of course, because to take into consideration the publications published in 2019. And this data set is about 23,400 titles indexed in Scopus and 77 million citation and 12.8 million journal articles. So it's journal article and article reviews, conference proceedings, books, and book chapters. These are the different types which is Times Higher Education are using for the ranking. Also, the field-weighted citation impact for 11 Times Higher Education subject area, which is mapped to all science journal classification ASJC. I hope you remember when you had a trial to Cival. There is an option in Cival which you can look at the subject headings of Times Higher Education. And of course, you can get your field-weighted citation impact from Cival as well. There's a certain condition for the publications which have more than 1,000 authors. There are some papers we know, and it's called kilo papers, which has more than 1,000 authors. It's usually big projects, and usually it's in physics. They are fractionalized. I mean, the citation is fractionalized according to the number of researchers or number of authors per article. And then in addition to that, of course, the 6% of the research productivity, 2.5% for the international collaboration, and the repetition survey, it's 18%. So how do you get ranked in Times Higher Education? First of all, you provide your institutional data to Times Higher Education, and then 1,000 eligible papers. That's a 5-year window. So the university will have 1,000 at least papers, eligible papers. That means it's from the categories we mentioned, and also from the journals which is active in Scopus. In 5-year window, and there is also minimum number of papers per year. So you have to have at least 150 papers per year, and there's a variable threshold per subject area as well, but this is mainly for the subject classification, not for the world ranking. The second important one, or second one we're going to focus on, is the QS ranking, the QS World University ranking. Of course, QS has multiple ranking. One is also the subject ranking, but this one is mainly we're focusing on the World University ranking. The focus is global, of course, and it is its goal is for students seeking to understand how their prospective university choices are perceived by the global academic community and the potential employers across the world. And the scope is for 1,000 institutions. And again, of course, it is coming from Scopus database, the data sources, and it is annually, and it is coming up in spring. This is the methodology of QS World University ranking. 5% on the international students. So you need to have international students. 5% on international faculty. The same, you need to have international faculty. 10% employer repetition. So your students, when they get employed after graduation. 20% of citation per faculty, and this is coming from Scopus. 20% faculty student ratio, and then 40% academic repetition, which is of course very important, a big percentage. So if we zoom in on the part which is related to Scopus, citation per faculty contributes to 20% of the ranking. The total, which is calculated, how it is calculated, it is by the total number of citations received by all papers produced by a university across 5-year period divided by the number of faculty members at that institution. All the citations are sourced from Scopus database, and very important point, it excludes self citation. So if you would like to try to stimulate this yourself, then you need to exclude self-citations. The citations are normalized to a factor. I will talk to you about this. It's a bit similar to the field-weighted citation impact. Again, I hope you remember the field-weighted citation impact when you used to use Cyval, and also it's available in Scopus. We talked about it in the last session, but in Scopus, it's mainly to evaluate the articles, while in Cyval, you are able to use it to evaluate institutions. So these are the steps in institutions compiled by QS based on Scopus profiles. And then they calculate the NTCC, that is the normalized indicator, which is similar to the field-weighted citation impact. And then Elsevier provide the Scopus custom data according to the request from QS. And this actually custom data is a Scopus data snapshot in April. So you need to know that is the QS is happening before Times Higher Education. Okay, let's come to the first part was like a theoretical part about the ranking, what is the methodology and so on. The second part, how is the university can improve their profiles and make sure they have the full information in Scopus and Cyval, and also the researchers to make sure they are actually helping the university in the ranking. Scopus, we don't need to talk about it. We had a session about Scopus. And these are the number of articles in different regions. Like, for example, in Middle East and Africa, it is more than 860 publications. It's more than 200% than our nearest competitor, in addition to the other regions. So we try to actually cover all the regions worldwide and not to be biased to a certain region. Cyval, to remind you, Cyval provide access to research performance for more than 22,000 research institutions worldwide. These are academic and corporates as well, who's doing research, of course, which is coming from 230 nations worldwide. And sorry, and Scopus, of course, sorry, Cyval consists of 4 modules, overview, which give you the overview on the research, the strengths and weaknesses for your institution or for any other institution. Benchmark is to compare between institutions and researchers, and then collaboration, which help you with to evaluate the current collaborations and also look for potential collaborations. And last one is the trends module, which is you can analyze the research trends to discover the top performance and rising stars. And it helps a little bit also with the impact ranking. We didn't talk about impact ranking for Times Higher Education, which depends on the SDGs, the Sustainable Development Goals, but it is also have some features within the trends module. Scopus for the ranking. Okay, how to analyze your institution for the rankings? Of course, the citation impact, which is represented by the field-weighted citation impact. The data quality, make sure that the data on the researcher level, so everybody use the editor to make sure that the profile is correct, and also on the institutional level, which is the institution need to use the IPW or the institution profile wizard to make sure the profiles are correct. And then, of course, look at the international collaboration in addition to academic and corporate collaboration. So the Scopus data model depends on these 3 elements: the articles, authors, and affiliation. And once an author actually publish an article in a journal indexed in Scopus, so and the publisher provide the article to Scopus, we look at the article. There is an algorithm actually, which is one of the best in the industry. Look at the article and look at the author name, so it can extract the author name immediately, and the affiliation. If this is the first article for the author, then it will create an author profile immediately, and also add this article under the author and under the affiliation. If this is also the first article for the affiliation, a new affiliation will be created. Okay, how do we how Scopus work in the background? How is the algorithm work in the background? So if we have an incoming article, the first step, as I mentioned, we look at the name of the author, the publication, the year, many information the algorithm actually looking at. And then we look also at the affiliation and the email address of the author to differentiate between authors. So if we have two authors, which is their name is John Smith, but they are in different universities, we will be able to differentiate between them and put each article in the correct place. And then we look at the keywords, title, abstract, and then reference, sources, title, and then output temporary file becomes a new single author profile. So a new author profile, if this is the first article, will be created. If it is not the first article, then it will be added to the profile of this author. So as you know, this is not only the step, we don't depend on the algorithm only because it's around 97% accuracy. It's at the end of the day, it's a software, but also there is the author feedback wizard, which is authors and researchers can go to their profile from time to time and make sure that the profile is correct, and they can do a lot of changes like selecting the preferred name, selecting the latest affiliation, merge profiles if Scopus by mistake actually create two profiles because there's actually was everything, there's some differences between the names of when you publish an article, then Scopus may create a new profile, then we need to merge that. Also, in addition to that, we do recommend that you create an ORCID ID and link this ORCID ID to your Scopus author profile. This will help a lot, not only Scopus, but also the publisher when you are sending your articles to the publisher. Also, we do have a service which is called Profile Refinement Services. This is a manual service which is people can set in the back office and correct the author profiles manually. And we have also Scopus to Cyval manual and automated updates. So if you're creating a list of researchers in Cyval and you put the alternative names, automatically it will be corrected in Scopus as well. Okay, that was on the researcher level. How about on the institution level? I'm not sure if Jazan University has access to IPW or Institution Profile Wizard already, but if you don't have, I would recommend you to do this, because this will help you to correct using, of course, the using that IPW will help to correct the university profile. On the left side of the screen, let me try to. On the left side of the screen here is the steps when you when we get an article from an author. We extract the information from the extracted metadata information received from the author or publisher, and then documents match to existing affiliations. So if someone from Jazan University published an article, then we look at Jazan University, and then we add the article of course to the university affiliation, and also we look at alternate names. So for example, here University of Amsterdam, it's written in different way: Univ Amsterdam, Univ of Ams, or Univ of Amsterdam fully with a dot. So all these alternative names also will be captured and added automatically to the university affiliation. So for the next articles, automatically will be captured and added under the institution profile or institution affiliation. Also, we have institution hierarchy. So you can have, for example, the main university, and below that is Faculty of Medicine, Faculty of Business. If you have an hospital, this can be added. That's an example for one of the universities, Case Western Reserve University. They have the parent organization, and then below that there are child organization, and we can see here the number of publication per child, and then the total number of publication for the university is on the top here, and then per institution below. This is the interface for the institution profile wizard. Once you open it, you have three features. One is to modify the current hierarchy, the hierarchy as we have seen here in this slide, or modify profile, which is the most important one. Where you can update name and address of the university, add address of multiple location, add different languages, view or remove or add alternate names for the institution, which is the most important feature, because in case if you have articles under different names or alternative names in Scopus, and the Scopus algorithm did not put it in automatically under your institution, it's important to look at this and make sure that all the alternative names are added under your profile, so you are not missing any of the articles of Jazan University. And then also the third option is to create a new profile. Let's say if you want to create a profile, as I mentioned, for a child organization like a hospital, for example, then you can add it. And then once it is created, you can modify the hierarchy and add the hospital under the institution. There's also a customer example. There's a webinar I would recommend if you're interested in this area to view that webinar. And then we move to Cyval. Cyval can help you to analyze the research trends, conduct actually a full portfolio topic analysis, create customized report, visualize research performance, benchmark, and so on. First point in Cyval, which you can actually look at it in details, is the international collaboration. International collaboration has a very high positive impact of your research and on the ranking as well, because actually it is very clear and it is proven that the more you have international collaboration, the more citation you are get. And you saw that in the two important rankings, there's 20% and 30% about citation. In addition to Times Higher Education has also part or an element for international collaboration. So international collaboration can help you also with a global access of specific expertise, access to state-of-art facilities, resources, and funding, achieving global reach of your findings, developing a global vision. And you can look also at the field-weighted citation impact as a proxy of research impact. So that's the international collaboration for the world. So this is the world articles. So it increased from a little less than 16% of the articles internationally collaborated in 2010 to almost 22% in 2019. And we can see it is continuously rising, the international collaboration worldwide. If we compare between those two countries, we can see also that Australia is growing from 40% up to almost 52%, and New Zealand from 47% up to 55% of the publications are internationally collaborated. Sorry. If we look at Jazan University, the international collaboration is very good, amazing actually. In 2010 was 65%, and then it grown up to 80%, and then in 2019 it is 80%. It is not consistent every year, but it is a very high level, which is, I'm sure it is also having a good and positive impact on your citations. This is a group of universities worldwide, which is, we can see all of the universities actually, they have a very huge improve on international collaboration. So that actually tell us and show us that international collaboration is important. And I think Jazan University is already giving a high importance for that, which is I hope you keep doing, of course. The second element which we can benefit from SciVal is the field-weighted citation impact, which indicates how the number of citations received by Jazan University, for example, publications, compares with the average number of citations received by all other similar publication in the data universe. The field-weighted citation impact average number is 1. So we need to compare or to benchmark our numbers with 1. UAE, for example, has 1.21 between 2012 to 2017. Saudi Arabia has 1.65, very high field-weighted citation impact. So 65% more than the world average. If we look at Middle East, it is 1.07 percent of, or 1.07, sorry, of the field-weighted citation impact. Very important rule which we need to remind you with, and we talked about it before when we talked about Scopus. There are 2 golden rules. Number 1, always use both qualitative and quantitative input when you take your decision. So for example, you use peer review or expert opinion in addition to the bibliometrics or the matrix. So don't use the matrix alone, or don't use the peer review alone, because both of them can actually complement each other and correct each other. The second rule is when you talk about bibliometrics, always use more than one research metric as a quantitative input. So for example, if you are actually evaluating, let's say, a researcher, don't use the number of citations only, use the number of citation and maybe field-weighted citation impact, or maybe the percentage of the journal in top journal percentile, or maybe the field-weighted citation impact. And if you're looking at a journal, for example, you're evaluating a journal, look at maybe CiteScore and SNP or SGR, so at least more than one metric. This is the 2 golden rules. Last slide here is it's not always actually the subject which you are publishing more having the highest field-weighted citation impact. So this is an example from one of the universities. And you can see on the left side here is they are publishing a lot in medicine, more than 70,000 publications. And the field-weighted citation impact is still very good. It's 2 plus actually in the field-weighted citation impact. So it is double the world average. But also there are some other subjects like physics and astronomy, which is having more field-weighted citation impact, and other subjects which is actually having almost 2.7 or 2.8 field weighted citation impact. So we need to look at the strengths in our research output, and also, of course, the weaknesses to improve that. That was my last slide. There's actually, we have an ebook which you can download also about Scopus and SciVal role in the ranking. Also, there's details here about the author profile wizard, which is very important for all the researchers to use to edit their profiles, to make sure that they set the preferred name, merge profiles, add or remove documents, update affiliation, and so on. And that's actually the second screen, which you can also merge or select some articles to add or to remove from your profile. So thank you very much. I know it was more theoretical session, so I hope it was useful. Any questions?
Thank you, Dr. Wael. Dr. Wael, you hear me?
ايوه دكتوره.
Thank you.
تحت
شكرا
امرك.
جزيلا.
You're
شكرا
most welcome.
جزيلا.
Most welcome. شكرا.
شكرا جزيلا على المحاضرة الرائعة صراحة. عندي one question.
اتفضلي.
How to introduce Jazan University to IPW and what's mean by IPW? Okay.
Okay. IPW, I'm not sure is Jazan University has access to it. I can check after the session. It is institution profile wizard, which is an editor. This is the one, which is an editor for the institution profile in Scopus. And it will help you to add any alternative names or any articles missing from in Scopus for the institution. And we used to do that by the support team in the background, but we prefer to provide access to the universities because you know better than us the alternative names, you know better than us the articles and so on. And there's a form which just need to be filled up to 3 people per university. It's of course it's very sensitive because it can change the whole profile of the institution. So we only request maximum 3 people from the university, and it need to be stamped from the university. So everybody knows those are the people responsible for IPW, and then we give an access in few days, and then they can use the IPW.
دكتور ثانك يو. في استفسار ثاني دكتور وائل بالنسبة طبعا دلوقتي كل الجامعات تسعى إلى الرانكينج أو بمعنى أصح إن هي من شروط الجودة والاعتماد للجامعة إن هي لازم يكون لها بروفايل رانكينج. طيب دلوقتي إيه هي أهم الخطوات اللي حضرتك تنصح بيها بحيث إن إحنا نخلي الجامعة بتاعتنا على مستوى الرانكينج بالنسبة للجامعات العالمية كلها؟
تمام. انا يعني انصح انه مبدئيا نمرة واحد في حاجات هتمشي بالتوازي وفي حاجات هتمشي بالتوالي. اللي بالتوازي مع بعض، نمرة واحد اتاكد ان البروفايل او الافيليشن بتاع الجامعه كامل وسليم عن طريق استخدام الانستتيوشن بروفايل ويزارد، وعن طريق ان الريسيرشرز كلهم يستخدموا الاوثر بروفايل ويزارد عشان يتاكدوا ان كل المقالات بتاعتهم مكتمله. بالتوازي لابد من الاطلاع او يكون في حد مسؤول او متخصص مركز مع موضوع الرانكينج. وحضراتكم مثلا هتقرروا ان انتوا هتروحوا على مثلا التايمز هاير اديوكيشن والكيو اس رانكينج على سبيل المثال. طيب ايه هي الكرايتيريا بتاعتهم بالظبط عشان ابتدي ان انا احسن فيها. فعلى سبيل المثال مثلا بنتكلم على التايمز هاير اديوكيشن عندها تيتشنج 30%. بنتكلم على مثلا الاندستري انكم 2.5%. لازم ان انا اعظم الدخل بتاعي من الاندستري، فلا بد ان انا ابتدي ادور ان انا اتعاون مع شركات مثلا زي سابك، ارامكو، او شركات بره مايكروسوفت وهكذا، حسب يعني ما الريسيرش او الفيلدز بتاعت الريسيرش. بس قبل كده لازم اكون very familiar مع الميثودولوجي بتاعت الرانكينج عشان ابتدي ان انا امسك element واحسنه. وفي نفس الوقت بالتوازي انا شغال على الافيليشن بتاعي في سكوبس، والريسيرشرز بتوعي بيستخدموا الويزر بتاع الاوثر مثلا كل شهرين او كل 3 شهور يراجعوا البروفايل بتاعهم يتاكدوا ان كل حاجه مكتمله. طبعا هي عمليه كامله ومتكامله، يعني برضو الريسيرش اوفيس اكيد بيتابع البرودكتيفيتي بتاع الريسيرشرز ويسهل لهم الامور وكذا. فكل دي امور يعني بتقوي البوزيشن في الرانكينج.
شكرا دكتور وائل.
لا.
استفسار آخر، لو أنا كباحث عندي 2 authors أكونت على السكوبس، إزاي أعمل لهم ميرجينج بحيث إن أنا يكون عندي واحد فقط؟
نعم. في عندنا في البروفايل بتاع الاوثر يعني يمكن عدينا عليها ساعة لما كنا في السكوبس ورك شوب سريعا، لكن انا هنا في الاوثر بروفايل ويزارد فلو عندي ممكن اعملها من مكانين، من edit profile او potential author matches. لو عايز اعمل موضوع عندي اكتر من بروفايل بالخطأ تم انشاؤه، فممكن يكون اسهل لي كشورت كات اروح على البوتنشال اوثر ماتشز، عملت عليها كليك اوتوماتيكلي سكوبس هتديني كل الاوثرز اللي اسمهم شبه اسمي حتى لو في موضوعات مختلفه. انا ببقى عارف طبعا البروفايل بتاعتي وعارف الارتكلز بتاعتي، فبختار البروفايلز اللي هم الاثنين مثلا بتوعي او ممكن يكونوا ثلاثه بتوعي، وبعلم عليهم وبقول لهم بعمل كليك على ميرج بس فقط. بتروح للسبورت في الباك جراوند بيراجعوا الريكوست وبعدين بينفذوه. الموضوع بياخد اسبوع 10 ايام مثلا عشان يتنفذ. بس مهم ان احنا نعمله يعني بشكل منتظم، ان احنا نراجع البروفايلز ونراجع الارتكلز بتاعتنا عشان ما اجيش مثلا قبل في ترقيات او كذا او تقييم او كذا، وابقى محتاج ان انا اعدل البروفايل بتاعي والوقت يبقى مزنوق يعني.
تمام يا دكتور، شكرا لحضرتك.
نعم.
آه، استفسار آخر، عاوزين حضرتك تكلمنا عن أهمية الأوركيد نمبر بالنسبة لينا كباحثين، لأن طبعا دلوقتي بقى كل حد يشتغل في مجال البحث العلمي يقول له أنا عايز أشوف جوجل سكولر بتاعك إيه، الأوركيد نمبر بتاعك إيه. فمحتاجين معلش لمحة من حضرتك عن هذا الموضوع.
تمام تمام. يعني هو ما فيهوش، او انا ما عنديش تفاصيل كتير، لكن هي الاوركيد اي دي طبعا زي ما حضراتكم عارفين انها هيئه غير هادفه للربح. حضراتكم بتسجلوا فيها البروفايل بتاع الاوثر، بتاخدوا رقم يونيك غير متكرر. وده بيفيد مش بس مع سكوبس، مع سكوبس ومع كل قواعد البيانات، ان انا لما بنشر المقاله بتاعتي بدي الببلشر الاوركيد اي دي، بحيث انه ما اعانيش بعد كده من مشكله انه لو انا كاتب الاسم بشكل مختلف او الببلشر كتب اسمي بشكل مختلف. في الحالات دي كلها السيستم هيتعرف او كل الداتابيزز هتتعرف على الاوركيد اي دي بتاعي، كانه كانه الاي اس بي ان بتاع الكتاب او الاي اس اس ان بتاع المجله، رقم غير متكرر بس هنا في الحاله دي لكل باحث، بحيث انه ما يحصلش اي لبس في البروفايلز بتاعت الداتابيسز. وبعدين اقدر ان انا اعمل ربط زي ما احنا شايفين هنا كونكت تو اوركيد، اقدر اعمل ربط مع البروفايل بتاعي في سكوبس، فبالتالي يعني الرقمين موجودين وما يحصلش اي لخبطه في البروفايل.
تمام يا دكتور، شكرا لحضرتك.
شكرا.
السادة الحضور، إذا ما لو في أي استفسار، دكتور وائل على تم الاستعداد. اتفضل. صراحة دكتور وائل مش عايزين نستغنى عنك في الفترة دي، عايزين
الله
نسمع
يخليك.
أسئلة كتير. فأنا
الله
السادة
يخليك.
الحضور لو في أي استفسار يخص أي حاجة في مجالات النشر العلمي، دكتور وائل موجود.
طبعا انا هبعت لحضرتك يا دكتوره برضو زي المره اللي فاتت لينك خاص بالتقييم والشهادات
تمام.
الاتندنس، هبعته لحضرتك بالايميل
تمام.
بعد السيشن.
لو جاهز اللينك بتاع الورش بتاع الشهادة موجود لحضرتك دلوقتي يا دكتور، ولا
لا مش
هيكون
جاهز في
محتاج؟
الحقيقه، انا هعمله بعد
تمام.
بعد السيشن وابعته لحضرتك بالايميل.
تمام يا دكتور، تمام. آه، استفسار يا دكتور بالنسبة للرانكينج تكنيكس، بالنسبة لنا حضرتك قلت في أكتر من من آلية للرانكينج، من
نعم.
ضمنها شنغهاي أو كده. احنا بالنسبة للجامعة عندنا بنشتغل على شنغهاي.
نعم.
شنغهاي أكيد بتهتم بالبحث العلمي أكتر، يعني بنسبة 30% أعتقد من النسبة كان البحث العلمي.
انا مش عارف تفاصيلها بصراحه قوي. احنا يعني انا كان تركيزي في السيشن على التايمز اور اديوكيشن والكيو اس.
أيوه،
بس هي
شنغهاي
غالبا
رانكينج.
نعم نعم نعم.
مم. تمام يا دكتور. وأنه تصنيف من التصنيفات السبع يا دكتور بيكون أكتر عالميا بالنسبة لنا؟
لا هم كلهم عالميين يعني في الحقيقة،
مم.
بس في يعني المشهور أكتر يمكن بالذات كمان في الريجن بتاعنا التايمز هاير اديوكيشن والكيو اس وبأنواعهم يعني. في عندنا تايمز هاير اديوكيشن في اليونيفرسيتي رانكينج، وفي
مم.
عندنا الامباكت رانكينج بتاع اليونايتد نيشنز سستينبل ديفلوبمنت. بالنسبة للكيو اس في وورلد يونيفرسيتي رانكينج وفي السبجكت رانكينج. وطبعا ده بالذات كمان بيفيد الطلبة، انه لما انا بدور على مثلا ميكانيكال انجينيرنج، مين احسن جامعة في المنطقة هنا ميكانيكال انجينيرنج، فبروح على السبجكت رانكينج. اعتقد كمان QS هتبتدي تقدم كمان impact ranking بيعتمد على ال SDGs او ال United Nations Sustainable Development Goals.
يعني ده بالنسبة لنا يعتبر كتصنيف، بحيث ان انا لو عندي ابني عاوز يدخل كلية بعد كده اختار له افضل كلية في هذا المجال من الكيو
من
اس رانكينج.
السبجكت بالظبط، غالبا الناس بتستخدم السبجكت هيدنج بتاع QS ranking بالظبط.
تمام يا دكتور، شكرا جزيلا لحضرتك يا دكتور.
عفوا دكتور.
مم. اي استفسار يا جماعة؟ واضح ان مفيش حد عنده اسئلة.
تمام تمام.
طيب شكرا جزيلا لحضرتك دكتور وائل، وشكرا للحضور. معلومات حضرتك قيمة، وشكرا لمؤسسة السيفير على إمدادها لينا بفريق رائع، دكتور وائل ودكتور سايدي ومسز ستيسي. شكرا جزيلا لحضرتك، ونتمنى إن شاء الله نكمل معاكم ورش تانية، بس إن شاء الله يكون على الترم الجديد بإذن الله.
إن شاء الله.
شكرا جزيلا.
شكرا جزيلا لوقت حضراتكم يعني ولاهتمامكم. شكرا جزيلا.
الله يبارك فيك يا دكتور. اتفضل يا دكتور، مع ألف
السلام
سلامة.
عليكم ورحمة الله.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته. مع السلامة.